developing.
Keeping the electric grid prepared for severe weather,
where we can test our equipment against any kind of weather that Florida might throw us throughout the year.
how drought is impacting Alabama farmers,
It's leading to a very active fire season for us.
earthquake early warning systems,
The computers here at the seismology lab at UW running an algorithm can send out an alert within 4 to 8 seconds.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Officials in Alaska are evacuating hundreds of residents after a powerful storm system, remnants of Typhoon Halong, hammered the west coast of Alaska this week. Rebecca Paulsha spoke to some folks who were forced from their homes.
Sophia, Paul, Holden, Paul, Brandon, Paul.
It's hard to know where to begin
I was frightened.
when you have nothing left.
It was just so fast. The water came up. When my window broke, I knew it was time to head to the school before it was too late.
Too late to save your home, too late to save the village of Kipnuk after hurricane-force winds gusted over 100 miles per hour, causing catastrophic storm surge flooding, destroying homes.
There is a lot of debris, sewage is coming up. You'll see, because nothing can be buried because the ground it's a marsh, it's a tundra. So the caskets got washed away, there's stuff floating around, power lines in the water, everything is either underwater or collapsing.
The only choice, evacuation.
I was scared.
First here in Bethel and then to Anchorage. The water took everything. Some homes floated 4 or 5 miles away.
It started coming in through the floor, the water, and it was just scary. We started drifting away and going in circles, which made it a little bit more scarier because we couldn't see the school lights anymore from our big window.
Really, no words exist. There's just sadness.
It's really confusing right now. I don't know how I'm feeling. I got home about 3 weeks ago. I was planning to be there for the rest of the month before I go to college in January. Now it's gone.
And the Atlantic is picking up with some activity again. There are now 2 systems that show signs of possible development. Meteorologist Lauren Oleski is tracking the tropics for us this morning.
2 waves that we are monitoring in the tropics. The first up in the northern Atlantic. This we don't need to be concerned with. That's going to be moving out to sea. We'll keep a closer eye on this. That doesn't mean that there's something coming this way, but we've seen models over the past few days sort of showing something developing. Way too early to tell you where it's going to go. Models do a much better job of tracking something when something actually exists. Nothing exists here. It's just a little cluster of showers and thunderstorms. 10 to 30% development chance through the next 2 to 7 days. We'll keep a close eye on it. Next name on our list is Melissa, should that develop into a named storm.
And 1 year after Superstorm Sandy, another tropical storm severely impacted central Pennsylvania during the month of October. Meteorologist Ed Russo tells us more about 2013's tropical storm Karen.
It was the ghost of a tropical storm, one that gave Harrisburg its all-time wettest October on record.
Tropical Storm Karen was indeed a very strange and peculiar October event. The storm began over the Gulf of Mexico, strengthened into a tropical storm, and before it even made landfall, it dissipated. But the remnant low associated with Karen crossed the southeast and reemerged off the North Carolina coast. It wasn't tropical by that point anymore. It actually turned into a nor'easter and started to spread rain into Pennsylvania, some of it heavy, and the storm actually did a couple loop-de-loops right off the North Carolina coast, which kept central PA in the rain shield for an extended period of time, so much so that Harrisburg alone in this storm saw 10 inches of rain, which is why October of 2013 was the wettest October on record for the city of Harrisburg. Karen wasn't done being strange yet. It actually moved to the southwest instead of to the northeast like these storms usually do, and dissipated off the coast of Florida.
The remnants of Karen brought heavy rain to much of the east, but notice that brown-yellow area over central PA? That was ground zero for the heaviest rain from the storm. Over 10 inches fell in Harrisburg, with many other locations across central PA getting over 6. Karen's odd journey from tropical storm to nor'easter showed that a system can do some of the worst damage inland from the coast. And in the case here, Harrisburg was hardest hit. For days, it lingered, not only wiping out roads, but records too.
And making sure the electrical grid is safe during severe weather is no easy task, but officials in Florida put the system through rigorous testing to make sure it can handle any weather. Meteorologist Charlotte Carl has more.
When it comes to storm prep, Florida Power and Light aren't flying kites. They're zapping problems before they strike, right here in their lightning lab.
Where we are standing right now is called our lightning lab. So this is one of the several different areas throughout this facility where we can test our equipment against any kind of weather that Florida might throw us throughout the year.
This is Florida Power and Light's Reliability Assurance Center in West Palm Beach, the high-tech hub where engineers simulate the worst-case scenarios before they ever hit the grid.
So what this does is assure the reliability of the electric grid during all types of conditions. So this testing helps us to control that environment to see how it might respond in the real thing.
From harsh sunlight to lightning strikes and salt spray, every piece of equipment is pushed to its limits. The goal? Fewer outages and faster recovery, whether it's a named storm or not.
We know that there are storms that come throughout the year that don't have a name and still can cause problems on the grid. And so we know that no system is 100% outage proof, but by putting it in a controlled situation like this, we can see how it may respond when an actual storm shows up.
It's part of a year-round strategy to harden the grid and keep power flowing to millions of Floridians, even when the weather turns wild.
And more than 1 million people across Washington state dropped, covered, and held on, part of a drill getting residents ready to stay safe during the next big earthquake. Meteorologist George Wallenberger talked with the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network about alerts, how they're created, and sent to our phones.
Lasting only a minute, shaking historic Pioneer Square, interrupting a Bill Gates demo.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this was the magnitude 6.8 earthquake that generated $2 billion in damage from Seattle to Olympia.
The Nisqually earthquake in 2001 was actually the USA's most damaging earthquake of the last 30 years.
This all helped grow the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and its array of 700 monitoring stations in Washington and Oregon. One tool, their broadband sensors,
Mickey, because he's probably there already,
are sensitive enough to detect our approach to inspect their site.
We are currently at Seward Park. The seismic station is called SP2.
This strategic location monitoring the nearby Seattle fault.
This box has what's called a data logger.
It includes an accelerometer, reading the big earthquakes, and a GPS sensor to timestamp each measurement.
And what we need is really high precision time, milliseconds. We characterize the location and magnitude of earthquakes based off of almost entirely off of time.
Earthquakes send out a variety of seismic wave types. Primary or P waves travel faster than secondary or S waves. The offset or gap between these two waves' arrival tells us how far away the earthquake occurred. Multiple stations triangulate to pinpoint the hypocenter.
These seismometers, sensitive enough to pick up vibrations much smaller than my footsteps, are buried 3 feet beneath this mound.
If 4 of these stations detect a significant earthquake, the computers here at the seismology lab at UW running an algorithm can send out an alert within 4 to 8 seconds.
And if you want to learn more about the weather in your area, check us out on social media. We post content from our team of 200 meteorologists all over the country. To find us, just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how Alabama farmers are dealing with extreme drought and why raking your leaves might actually be bad for your yard.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. It's a nice looking stretch of weather on the way in the Northeast. This weekend will start today with a lot of sun with temps in the low 60s. Temps will be a few degrees warmer going into Saturday and Sunday. Some areas may nudge the 70s by late weekend. Here we are 1 o'clock this afternoon. Expect a mostly sunny sky, temps 50s and low 60s. Let's take into Saturday. It starts to count going into the weekend. There are those low 60s we were talking about. Some areas will nudge the 70s with a lot of sun on Sunday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. The weekend's shaping up to be pretty nice. We'll have high pressure around for the rest of your Friday, keeping us sunny and dry. A few clouds try to roll in on Saturday, but don't count on it doing much more than that, and still fairly dry. Some rain may be coming likely as we get into late Sunday night. Temperatures in the low 60s for highs for your Friday afternoon, and not too chilly overnight. Saturday should be warmer. Highs will be in the upper 60s, the low 70s.
Good Friday morning, meteorologist Michael Araber with a look at your Southeast regional forecast. We are looking at a few clouds moving through the Mississippi River Valley. Could be some showers across coastal sections of Texas near the Houston area. Otherwise, the rest of the Southeast, plenty of sunshine out there with dry air and a big upper level ridge of high pressure in place. High temperatures, 80s everywhere. 81 in Atlanta, 84 Nashville. The cool spot, though, will be Raleigh at 69 and Charleston at 72, mostly 80s through Florida.
I'm Grayson Freund, meteorologist at Iowa's News Now, Weather First in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, most of Alabama is dealing with a range of drought conditions, from abnormally dry to extreme drought. It's taking a toll on fall crops. Gracie Johnson shows us how one farm is managing to keep their crops healthy.
Across Alabama, farmers are feeling the effects of one of the driest seasons in years. According to the Alabama Forestry Commission, much of the state is now in D3 drought conditions, meaning extreme dryness and increased wildfire risks.
Anticipating we're going to see an increase in drought across the state. You add that with that October is our driest month of the year anyway. It's leading to a very active fire season for us.
At Old Baker Farm in Shelby County, owner Leah Harry says this year's weather has made growing fall crops more unpredictable.
As a farmer, you need a mix of dry and rain and all of the wet seasons, but this year has been super dry.
The farm now uses an irrigation system added a few years ago to help balance those weather extremes.
It has really helped us when it comes to dry weather. Like I said, the corn that we have in the summertime, if it's super dry, it has to have rain. So we use the irrigation for that.
That system has also helped save this year's pumpkin and Christmas tree crops.
The pumpkins, if it's too dry, then of course they're not going to grow. If it's too wet, they're going to grow and they're going to rot. So the irrigation system, having that in, has really changed how we can manage our crops.
And while the forecast shows potential rain ahead, fire experts say it won't be enough to fix the drought just yet.
Looking at the forecast for this weekend, we are forecasted to get up to an inch of rain, which it is going to be much needed and greatly appreciated. But for where we're at in the current drought conditions, it's not going to be enough to reduce our drought.
Well, it's been more than a month since the Highland Lakes in Texas have received rainfall. That means lake levels are falling despite the massive inflow that received back in July. Now, water experts say conservation is key as residents wait for more rainfall. Vinny Maturano has more.
Mother Nature has flipped the switch.
It's been 38 days of no rain and low inflow into the Highland Lakes. Now, the levels are starting to drop.
And we've seen widespread a 2 to 3% decline in water supply storage just in the last few months.
Take a look at this Austin water chart. You can see the purple graph in July showing over 750,000 acre-feet of water pouring into the Highland Lakes. Since then,
and then in August and September, we've had relatively low inflows.
Greg Waller with the National Weather Service says we're supposed to be seeing more rain and moisture in the fall. Instead, the unusually hot and dry conditions during this drought have lowered lake levels with not much rain in sight.
I keep saying hope is not a plan, but in the first week or so, our weather models are suggesting there's not a lot of rain chances out there, but there is a pattern change coming up at the end of the month. So we're hoping that we get back into a more active fall-like pattern for the end of October, and let's see how that carries into November.
Here's a look at where lake levels are currently. Lake Buchanan sits just over 1,018 feet, and Lake Travis over 670. Although the lakes are still a combined 88% full, officials are calling for conservation.
Just because the Highland Lakes are full doesn't mean you should be irresponsible with your water use.
And while the bright, beautiful leaves of fall are often a welcome sight, the cleanup effort it takes to remove them from our yards is often not. But experts say that if you are bagging and tossing all those leaves, you may be losing something valuable. This season, your fall cleanup could actually feed your lawn. Hannah Hayes has more.
As the leaves begin to fall this season, many people reach for the rake. But what if the best thing you could do with your leaves is nothing at all? An agriculture and natural resources educator says those crunchy colors falling from your trees could actually be nature's fertilizer.
Well, a lot of times those leaves have nutrients in them that we can take advantage of and put those back into the soils that make up either our lawns or our gardens.
Instead of bagging leaves and sending them to the landfill, Lyon recommends breaking them up to give your yard a natural boost.
One of the easiest things to do, just to eliminate that step of raking entirely, drive over those leaves with a lawnmower, and what that does is it breaks them up into smaller pieces that then break up really quickly into the soil, and you're adding back in those nutrients, that carbon, the nitrogen, and what that plant had taken up or produced through photosynthesis.
She says mulching your leaves not only saves time, but also replenishes the ground with essential nutrients. But if you choose to pick them up, don't burn them because burning them this time of year can be dangerous. Instead, consider adding them to a compost pile or use them as a garden cover.
If you just let the plants or those leaves decompose naturally, they'll provide a lot more benefit and a lot more cover that you can use in your garden.
Some communities collect leaves to compost on a larger scale, while others send them to landfills. Before you bag them up, think about mulching or composting those leaves instead. It could save you work and help your yard thrive next spring.
Halloween is a couple of weeks away. That means pumpkin carving time is here. Meteorologist Violet Skyborough explains how to stretch your pumpkin's lifespan and how to prevent pumpkin pollution after Halloween.
Halloween is right around the corner. If you're planning on picking and carving some pumpkins to display on your front porch, here's some tips to help preserve your pumpkins, especially after you carve them. You may notice carved pumpkins don't last as long as full ones when you're putting them out on your porch. And this is because when you carve a pumpkin, you're exposing the most sensitive part of the plant, the interior. So here's some tips to help keep your pumpkin looking fresh. When you carve it, make sure to get all of the guts out. The moist parts of the pumpkin can actually grow bacteria. And that's another thing. Prep the pumpkin before you put it out. Use a bleach water mix and spray that on the inside of the pumpkin. That helps bacteria from growing and speeding up the decaying process. Also, don't use candles. The flame, the heat, and the dryness from it can actually speed up the decaying process and make your pumpkin look a little bit mushy. Instead, opt that out for using electric lights. They last longer, you don't have to reignite the flame, and you can actually use some pretty cool looking colors in your jack-o'-lanterns. Now, when Halloween is over, Don't throw away your pumpkins, especially in a trash bag or some area that it's not going to get oxygen, because when pumpkins start to decay and they're not able to get any oxygen, methane gas is released from the pumpkins in landfills. And that actually is a big contributor to climate change, except for the plants that, of course, burn their trash. But a better solution is to just take your pumpkin, throw it in your yard. It's great fertilizer for your grass, or even better, if you have a garden, you can drop it out there. Or even the squirrels or other animals will eat away at it for you. So RIP to that pumpkin. Make sure to bury it after the Halloween season.
And time now for a short break, but first we take in views over Orlando, Florida.
Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Cooler air is going to be moving its way in as we go through the weekend. Got a little bit of scattered rain for the day today. As we continue on into your day tomorrow, that rain works its way down into the lower Great Lakes, and it'll continue moving into the Ohio Valley for Sunday. And behind that, temperatures are cooling down, but at least getting back into more sunshine across the plains as we head into your Sunday.
Well, good Friday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast today across the region, and we will see a few showers or thunderstorms southeast Texas late in the day. The Friday night could get a couple strong storms up in Oklahoma. We step into that Saturday forecast. On the lookout for a few severe storms. East Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, a little bit of Texas, wind gusts, hail, maybe an isolated tornado risk as we watch through the afternoon into Saturday and across the region.
I'm George Waldenberger, your forecast for the western United States. And getting cold in the mornings here, Four Corners up through western Colorado, Utah, Wyoming. Some freeze warnings in place for the early morning. Otherwise, warming into the 60s, even 70s in Las Vegas and San Diego. Surf getting a little rough along the west coast as our next storm system, our next weather maker approaches, bringing rain to the Pacific Northwest for the weekend. That's the scene from out here.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali for Fox 45 in Baltimore, Maryland, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
And time now for our Friday football forecast. Here's meteorologist Katie Morgan.
That time of the week again, let's talk about some of our college and NFL matchups for the week. We're looking at temperatures in the mid-70s in Athens, Georgia. Ole Miss in town taking on Georgia. A top 10 matchup should be good. We'll see plenty of sunshine for the afternoon. We head to Notre Dame in South Bend. Temperatures in the mid-60s, maybe battling some showers here for Saturday evening. with the kickoff at 7:30. And Tennessee, always a big game in town against Alabama and Tuscaloosa. Also looking at a few thunderstorms possible with temperatures around 80. To the NFL we go. Looking good in Minneapolis, of course, a dome, but temperatures in the mid-50s with mainly sunny skies here. In Dallas, also a dome. We're talking about a temperature around 80 with plenty of sunshine with the Commanders in town. And in San Francisco, the Falcons taking on the 49ers for Sunday night football with the mid-60s. All right, I hope you guys are having a great start to your Friday. I'm meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday for the National Weather Desk.